I want to play a little bit with this sheet, and what I want to do is demonstrate what happens when you take a data set and either add or multiply by a constant. So what I've done here is I have this original data set in yellow and have this what eventually will be a modified data set in blue. Right now they're both equal, and all I'm doing right now is taking and referring back to the original data set. So right now this one's looking at D23, and D23 is where this lies. Here's just a graphical representation of the location of all the data values. What I've done here is I've created an order pair, so all the original data set goes into line 1, and the modified one goes into line 3 up here. Also, I've taken and found the mean of the data sets, the median, standard deviation, the IQR, and the range. So let's start. What would happen if I take my original data set and, let's say, add a constant to it? Let's say we add 2 to everything. So once I've done this, I'm going to go to the lower right hand corner and drag that. So notice that everything has changed by 2. The 20 now is a 22, for example. If you look at the graph, all we've done is shifted every single data value 2 units to the right. How has that affected the mean? How has that affected the standard deviation, the median, the IQR? Well, notice the mean has shifted by how much? 2. So the mean used to be at 10.8. Now it's shifted 2 units to the right at 12.8. So basically add 2 here. What about the median? Same scenario. The median was 10 before. By adding 2 to every single data value, I have now switched it to 12. But now look at the standard deviation. The standard deviation used to be 4.89. It continues to be 4.89. The IQR used to be 8. It continues to be 8. The range was 15. It continues to be 15. But when you look at the spread between the points, it's exactly the same. We haven't changed the spread by adding 2. All we have done is shifted everything. So this is called just a hard shift. Everything is still in its relative position. So the standard deviations have not changed. Basically any measure of spread has not changed because we haven't changed the spread at all. What would happen if instead of adding, I would decide to multiply it by a constant? So now I'm going to change all of them by multiplying by 2. One thing you notice immediately is that the modified data set now is more spread out. And that makes sense. I've changed every single value by multiplying by 2. So 5 now has changed to 10, and at the other extreme, 20 has now changed to 40. The range went from 15 originally, 20 minus 5, to now 30. The IQR, measure of spread, went from 8 to 16. Standard deviation went from 4.89 to 9.78. So if I look closely, it looks like all I've done is taken the old spread and multiply it by 2. And that's all that's happened. What about the mean and the median measures of center? Looks like I've taken the old median and multiplied it by 2, taken the mean and multiplied it by 2. So notice that multiplying by a constant, every single data value by a constant, does affect the mean, the median, standard deviation, the IQR, and the range. But how does it affect it? It actually is very nice. It's actually the product. If you multiply everything by 2, then all the summaries are going to be multiplied by 2. If you multiply by 4, let's say I come over here and multiply everything by 4, to get the new summaries, all I have to do is go to the old ones and multiply by 4. Again, you can see now the spread has changed by a factor of 4.